Hello everybody and welcome to the best match ever. This is episode 20, the big one, 2-0. And I'm being joined here by Chris Blasco.
Hello.
And also Owen Johnson.
Hello.
And this is Derek Stone, and this is the best match ever. We're going to be talking about an infamous match. Well, not really infamous. A great match, famous match that happened at Money in the Bank. Hey, there's a Money in the Bank pay-per-view coming up. That makes sense, right?
Yeah, this was Money in the Bank 2011, I believe.
Yes, 2011.
So long ago.
And,
it doesn't feel that long ago.
Yeah, it's like almost a decade ago, which is crazy. And it features Mr. John Cena, and it also features the may not be returning CM Punk as well.
Yes. Possible future AEW superstar.
But remember, Marks, don't work yourself into a shoot, brother Jack dude.
I don't know. I before we talk about that match, I guess we should do kind of like a brief little wrestling recap here. Last time we talked was WrestleMania. What was it, 32?
No, 35, right?
Jeez, 35?
This was Mania 35 this year.
We haven't talked for 3 years.
Oh my god. I don't know what how's everybody doing with their wrestling? I'll start. I went to the NWA Crockett Cup 2019, and I got to see the team of PCO and Brody King take home the Crockett Cup. If you would have told me a year ago that I would have seen PCO take home the Crockett Cup, I would have, slapped you, I guess.
Yeah. Is PCO and Brody King a regular tag team, or was that something put together just for the tournament?
No, they're a regular tag team now in Ring of Honor.
Okay.
They're in the Villain Enterprise with Marty Scurll.
Okay.
And they're like a surprisingly pretty good team together. Like it gives PCO a chance to like be a regular competitor and also like in tag team matches, which the dude is like over 50 now and doing wild shit. So it's nice for him to have breaks.
Every time I see something about PCO on Twitter, it's a gif of him taking the most insane bump I've seen in like years. I cannot believe he's doing that. He's like 50, right?
50, 51, 52, somewhere in that age range. And like, I mean, he obviously cannot be able to do this too much longer, so I would highly suggest if he's anywhere in your area to just drop whatever you're doing and go to that show, because like he puts it all out there and it's definitely like worth the money. Like he's fantastic live, and I don't know how much longer he can keep it up. But yeah, the Crockett Cup in general was a lot of fun. It was outside of Charlotte. It was a really good crowd there. It was like 1,500 people or so. Like if Ring of Honor did a show in that building last year with the Elite Crew, and I want to say that this Crockett Cup outdrew that show that I went to last year. So cool. Good on them.
Yeah, the NWA thing seems to really be working, which is kind of surprising, honestly.
This is a one-off show, so I'm not sure. I think they might want to try to do this yearly from now on. I'm not sure how it's going to do down the line, but definitely as like a kind of the first Crockett Cup in a long time. It was definitely a really entertaining show. Fantastic, really good main event with Marty Scurll and Nick Aldis. That I highly recommend people to check out. Very old school main event. And Jim Cornette was there announcing. It was funny. Like the announcers were up in the walkway just so like they can have the camera pointing at them and have like the ring in the background. But they were in the walkway where like everybody else can just like walk right in front of them. So like they were right to my left where I was sitting the entire show, and it was just funny to watch like the 5 or 6 people just standing there staring right at Jim Cornette while he's trying to do commentary throughout the entire show. That was,
Yeah,
something worth checking out.
I'd imagine he gets animated when he's doing his work.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my highlight over the past month. Let's see. Anybody been to anything, or there's also the Dark Side of the Ring. Has everybody checked out any of those?
I only saw the Bruiser Brody one, and that one was really good. It basically kind of confirms like a lot of the stories we've heard over the years that Carlos Colon covered up a murder and just allowed this dude to get away with it because the cops in Puerto Rico at the time believed wrestling was real. Kayfabe was not dead in Puerto Rico at this time. And so they're like, oh, he's faking it, so it's okay. He'll be all right. It wasn't real.
Yeah, and Tony Atlas is great in that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was so good.
He's told that story, hundreds of times probably because he was... I guess he's the only eyewitness that is able to comfortably speak about it, which is sad, but...
Yeah, well, they had, like, Zeb Coulter on there, and he kind of talked about it, but he was a little hesitant, and, like, they had Abdullah the Butcher on that episode, and he seemed pretty open about it, too, but he was not, like, Tony Atlas open of, yo, they murdered that guy and got away with it. And they said they would call me for the trial, but they never did.
Yeah, it was a crooked trial, which is unfortunate. The Dark Side of the Ring stuff has been like I haven't watched the one that aired last night, which I think was the season finale of it, the Gino Hernandez episode. But the Von Erich one is fantastic. I think that's available on YouTube. You could probably find it if you look for it.
Yeah. I mean, I heard a lot of people were down on the Montreal Screwjob one.
Yeah, I heard that one was kind of like they kind of played up the fake aspects of it, like and it was really just Cornette and Russo kind of like going back and forth at each other.
Well, and then having Scott Hall on saying, it was a work, brother.
Yeah, fueling that idea that it was staged. Like, come on, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's crazy that one exists in the middle of all these other episodes where it seems like the history was taken very seriously and was approached with like a pretty analytical lens. I don't understand why they would let this one slip through the cracks to where probably the most like the Montreal Screwjob was the most famous one, the most infamous one, and probably the one with the most resources out there to get information on, and that was the one that they end up kind of dropping the ball on. It really surprises me.
Yeah, like it because the series started out with the like Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth one, which is like, there's some unfortunate stuff that happened there, like they ended up getting divorced and parting their ways, and they both, Miss Elizabeth, like I think she OD'd on something, and then in Lex Luger's house. You're right, yeah, and that's sad. And then they went to Montreal, and that's what that is. But then they followed that up with like the death of Bruiser Brody and the history of the Von Erichs, which is like like incredibly real, incredibly sad. Oh yeah, and,
like David Shoemaker, he wrote a book about like the history of pro wrestling, and there's like a whole chapter just on the Von Erichs, and that chapter is just like the book itself is super depressing because he tells the story of wrestling through people who have died. So like every chapter is like, then this person died in a
that is very very depressing.
But like it's really good. Like he talks about every era and just looks at that era through the eyes of a couple wrestlers and like tells their story through that time. And it's really good, but I can only read it like once a year because it's super depressing. Because everyone is like, oh, he overdosed on drugs. Oh, he tried to overdose on drugs. It didn't work, and so he killed himself by hanging himself. Like if you like the Von Erichs chapter is just like, well, one of them kind of maybe possibly got murdered over in Japan, and then another one hung himself, and then another one I think shot himself, and another one OD'd on drugs, and it's like only one of the brothers is alive. And now I guess like I saw that his kids are joining AEW, is that right? Or somewhere
MLW.
else? Yeah, sorry, MLW.
Yeah, and his kids were actually on TNA on a show like years ago.
Oh, really?
They did a show in Texas. Like it was one of their only shows that really drew a lot of people, specifically because they made the choice to bring in Kevin Von Erich and his kids. I think Marshall and Ross Von Erich, I think are their names.
Huh.
And it actually ended up working to where they got a pretty big local crowd in, but they never did anything with them. And that was like that had to have been like 10 years ago at this point. So I'm surprised that those kids are still wrestling and haven't really heard much about them. And I keep saying kids, but they're probably like close to 30 now.
Yeah, they were on the Vice documentary. They looked, I wouldn't have guessed 30, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they still are in great shape, it looks like. So MOW has kind of emerged as my favorite weekly show over the past couple of months. So I'm excited to see them on there. And excited to see where they fit.
They're doing a great job of like keeping up their momentum, even though they're kind of picked at by like by AEW and WWE and ROH. But they're still keeping up with like really entertaining shows and really like talented workers.
Yeah, Contra Unit, shout out to them. They're the best heel stable in forever. I guess maybe since the Shield, really. I'm really excited every single time they're on screen. The Hart Foundation is awesome. I love Teddy Hart, which is crazy to say in 2019, but yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
All the young guys, MJF and his squad is fun as well. Selena De La Renta?
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she's really talented. I didn't know she was that young. Like,
yeah, I saw that she's 22, which is crazy.
Wow. Good for her. She's awesome.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, shout outs to MLW.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's see, anything else to talk about here?
I just haven't really been watching wrestling because a lot of the WWE stuff has just been horrific since WrestleMania, and I've been pretty busy with school and stuff as the school year is winding down, so I haven't been able to watch a lot of other stuff. So it's been kind of a wrestling-free month, basically, with a little bit of stuff dropped in here and there.
Gotta detox a little after WrestleMania season.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much in the same boat. I really need to go back and watch New Japan Dontaku because I want to watch especially the Okada Sonata match. But yeah, I'm in the same boat. I really haven't watched much of anything lately.
Yeah, I've mainly, like, pretty much Raw and SmackDown for me has turned into background noise as, like, I mean, we're in NBA tournament season right now. We're in NHL tournament season. The Carolina Hurricanes are making a run at the finals. So, like, sports-wise, I'm entertained elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a holding. Honestly, I'm kind of in a holding pattern until AEW starts.
Yes, a lot of news came out today, over the past couple of days, and it's as of recording, it's looking like the AEW to TNT rumor is probably true.
It's getting reported by like a number of sources at this point, so it seems like that's the case.
Yeah, so that's definitely something to be really excited, looking forward to. And I mean, I think what we're going to do is we're going to do this episode, and then we'll probably meet back after Double or Nothing. That's the next huge show coming up. Sorry, Money in the Bank. It's just not working for me right now. So AEW Double or Nothing, we'll probably report back after then. But for now,
yeah,
we've got to focus on this Money in the Bank rewatch that we decided to get together to do, and talk about this CM Punk versus John Cena match. Probably the most remembered match of either one of their careers, maybe.
Oh, it's got to be.
Is that fair to say?
It's probably a top 3 match for CM Punk, and probably a top 5 match for John Cena in terms of
that's fair.
In terms of matches that are remembered, that people remember them for.
Mm-hmm. And I guess the place to start is at the pipe bomb, right? For me, and maybe for you guys too, is like I checked out of wrestling. I was done with it. Mid 2000s, like I was done with WWE. I was kind of more geared towards what Ring of Honor was putting out. That Samoa Joe versus Kenta Kobashi match was what really hooked me into Ring of Honor at the time. And then I watched up until, through CM Punk and Bryan Danielson and yada, yada, yada. And then I kind of checked out at some point. I knew CM Punk was on WWE, and I knew he was doing well. And then the pipe bomb promo happened. I tuned back into WWE, and that was, it's probably one of the most significant promos, in the last couple, maybe decade or two.
It had to have been, because there were so many people that got back into WWE and wrestling because of that promo.
Yeah, like around this time, so this was 2011, so I was out of college by then. And I think around this time, the website Grantland was starting up, and they started a wrestling podcast. And I'd been kind of following wrestling like from the outside, like reading Matt Fowler's column on IGN that he did for a while, and like just kind of staying somewhat current through that. Then the pipe bomb happened, and like the podcast Cheap Heat kind of picked up like around the time the pipe bomb or a little bit after. And so I just started listening to that, and that kind of began my, I guess, return to wrestling. So like it's what brought me to where I am today, where I'm talking about wrestling on the podcast.
Talking about this match.
Yeah, talking about this match.
Even with since we all kind of originated on the Giant Bomb wrestling thread. Just that thread in particular. I remember when this happened, like there were so many more people coming back and being like, yeah, this is cool. I'm really like interested in seeing where this is going. I haven't watched wrestling in the longest time. Like that was the last thing that I can remember that really got people back into it and like excited to see where it was going to go. And I was excited to see where it was going to, I was watching actively at the time, but not like I wasn't into it. But that was the first thing in a long time where I was like, I actually am really excited to see what they do with this, because there are a lot of really interesting possibilities that can come out of this storyline of like I don't know if you guys remember at the time, but like people were saying like, oh yeah, Punk is going to go and defend the title in ROH. He's going to go and just wrestle for all these different companies, and he's going to take the world title out there and do all this insane stuff. That never ended up happening, but the idea of it was so cool and so interesting, and it really got you interested to see what was going to happen.
Yeah, and like the crazy thing is the pipe bomb happened, like I was reading up, kind of getting myself reminded of where this happened, like in time and stuff. And this was just a couple weeks before before Money in the Bank. So like Money in the Bank was like middle to end of July of 2011, and the pipe bomb happened like end of June, beginning of July. So it was like right before the match. So cuz like
it like completely changed direction of what was happening.
Yeah, because Vince suspended Punk. Cena was like, no, reinstate him. I'll beat him. I will uphold the integrity of the WWE for you, Vince. And so Vince was like, you better, John Cena, or else you're fired.
Which, again, that ended up going nowhere.
Yeah. Same.
But when we talk about like ranking this match, it's hard to like, and we'll talk about post match stuff later, I guess. But
Yeah.
I guess we just have to like completely ignore everything that happened after this match.
Yeah, I guess so.
Just throw it out the window, because obviously the build to this match is fantastic, and then the match happened. Match is fantastic. We'll talk about it in a second. And then everything after this match, Kevin Nash showing up, the Triple H match.
God, he lost to Triple H.
Just throw it out the window. Let's just pretend it never happened.
No, I'm gonna complain about that now that you reminded me that he fucking lost to Triple H, like 2 weeks after he came back or something like that, or like a month after he came back.
Yeah,
and
it was the next pay-per-view.
I was
it was
so
supposed to
angry.
be Kevin Nash. Oh,
yeah.
No.
Kevin Nash was why he lost.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, and then he was supposed to fight Kevin Nash again. No, Kevin Nash came in, cost him a match against someone. He was
John Cena. It was a rematch against John Cena.
Yeah, it was a rematch against Cena. Nash comes in. He was supposed to face Nash at a pay-per-view, but Nash, for whatever reason, couldn't go. And so Triple H put himself into the match and beat Punk.
Yes.
Yeah, that was it, which is great, you know.
Yeah, but we need to talk about the important thing leading into this match, and that is John Cena and The Rock and Fruity Pebbles, because this is
you have written down Fruity Pebbles.
Yep, I've written down Cena versus Fruity Pebbles, and this is the time where, like, every week John Cena just had like a different color shirt, and this was when him and The Rock were starting their program to work towards once in a lifetime that happened 2 times, but we can get there when we get to that point. And so The Rock, because he just is like a 12-year-old kid when he comes back to wrestling, just called him Fruity Pebbles because of all the different colored shirts he wore. And then John Cena parlayed that into a sponsorship with Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah, The Rock makes people money, so
that's right.
Yeah, the storyline going into this match was pretty much like John Cena was like the establishment, even though he was, kind of the quote-unquote anti-authority figure in some ways. Like, he was obviously like the Hulk Hogan of WWE.
Oh, yeah.
And then, Punk basically called him out on it. He basically vouched that, hey, I'm not getting the attention I deserve. I'm going to win this title, and then I'm taking it with me. I'm out of here. And that was kind of the story leading up to the match for the most part.
It would kind of be difficult to explain the dynamic to people who aren't like well dialed in to WWE. It's like John Cena is a good guy, and half the crowd likes him, but the other half doesn't. And he's kind of is the representative of the company, but he's also not. Like, he'll stand up to Vince McMahon, but he's also kind of the bad guy in this situation because CM Punk is so popular, even though CM Punk is doing technically heelish things. It was a very complicated dynamic.
Yeah, well, and like we haven't even mentioned, but Money in the Bank in 2011 happened in Chicago. I mean, it wasn't...
Oh, yeah.
I don't think the actual arena is located in the city of Chicago, but I don't know. It's the what? It's the what? Allstate Arena.
Outskirts, probably.
Yeah,
Allstate.
It was very much in Punk's favor, though, with the crowd.
Yeah, and like Punk is from Chicago. No, it's in Rosemont, Illinois. So it's outside of Chicago, but it's like a suburb of Chicago. And so like this is like ultimate like home field advantage if you want to make that a big deal for Punk. And so like the crowds, like this was after Cena had been Super Cena for a bunch of years, and the LOL John Cena wins meme was, I mean, before memes were a thing. They're like, oh, whatever, John Cena's going to win. And so, like, going into this match, we mentioned that Cena was like a 50-50 guy where people were either booing or cheering him, but this match, it was basically everybody was booing him. And so it was, so like, probably just start moving into the match right now. Like one of the things that stood out to me was just the crowd in general. Like, and watching the match, I was like, this is maybe the hottest crowd like up to that point in time, that was maybe the hottest crowd since when Hogan and The Rock were facing off at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Because
maybe the hottest since this match.
yeah,
I don't. Maybe that time Daniel Bryan was in Seattle, but like that's not even. I don't feel like that's like even close to this match because that wasn't a match. That was a segment.
Yeah, and that was like him announcing that he was back.
Yeah. Yeah, the crowd in this match, it's like you watch this and you're thinking to yourself, how's WWE not learned that hometown heroes make matches 20 times better? The crowd made this match from, and we'll get into it, but the match itself was a really good match, but the crowd just elevated this match into like a legendary status almost.
Yeah.
And like it's CM Punk's entrance, him coming out to the crowd reaction, just him sitting down in the ring while the crowd's chanting his name, like him getting back up, giving another ovation to the crowd, taking his shirt off, going to his mom who's on the outside, on the front row, giving a shirt to his mom. Like it's a really like emotional 5 minutes, just his entrance in this match.
And like when he's about to head down the ramp towards the ring and he just yells out it's clobbering time, like before he walks down, because he's such a big comic book guy. And so just like him yelling out like the thing from the Fantastic Four, his catchphrase was just like hilarious.
I think who is it? Booker T or somebody, one of the commentators in this match, like, you know, they just mentioned, oh, it's a partisan crowd tonight. And I think, thank God, Jerry the King Lawler was there. He was like, partisan, are you kidding me? It was impossible for even like WWE commentators to like ignore the crowd in this match, which says something.
Yeah, and since you mentioned it, I did want to say real quick that actually Jerry Lawler did a pretty good job as commentary in this match, and the commentary in general was pretty good for this match.
Yeah.
It was noticeably better than it usually is, even at that time.
It seemed like we know with main roster stuff, Vince is in everyone's ear 100% of the time, either feeding them lines or saying, hey, you need to bring this up, or you need to bring that up, or that, or blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And it seems like Vince just kind of, because we've seen instances where Michael Cole is really good at commentary. Yes. And it's in every instance that we see that, it's because Vince isn't in his ear. So like when the first like UK tournament happened and Michael Cole and Nigel McGuinness were calling it, I was like, oh man, Michael Cole is really good. It's a shame Vince is in his ear all the time. But it seemed like in this match, Vince kind of pulled back and just kind of let them go, because I guess he had a lot of trust with Booker there and Lawler there and Cole there, that they would be able to handle the ups and downs of what was going on and not have to have that prompting. And I just wish we could get more of that on at least Raw. It seems like SmackDown, just like in general, it's less forced, I guess.
Yeah, and they did a really good job of putting over the title as like really important.
Oh yeah.
Part of the storyline here was that if CM Punk won, he would basically his contract would expire with him as champion. And like I mentioned earlier, like he was threatening to take the title to other promotions and do whatever with it. So they were really playing up the importance of keeping the title in the WWE and John Cena winning and kind of defending the integrity of the title. And it was a little overdone, but it made it seem important. Like they never make the titles seem very important anymore. And this really made it like stand out as a big deal. And basically everything about the setup of the match is like the ideal like world championship match that like promotions like New Japan do so well, but WWE kind of fallen off of. It's like, this is the main event. It is the two definitive, like biggest current stars in your company. And there's a clear good guy or a clear favorite that the audience wants to win, and a clear person that the audience does not want to win. And it's just like everything clicked in a way that WWE doesn't that much anymore.
Yes. And everything is on the line.
Yeah, it's like important. This match matters. It means something. If this person wins, it means consequences. It's not just another thing that happens and then we move on to Monday Night Raw and then we do a rematch in a week.
And next month is Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but like also like this moment for WWE, like they didn't have the network, so this was still a pay-per-view. And so it seemed like they spent more time building up important things. Because like now it's just like, oh, we have another network special coming up in 4 weeks, so we just have to build up to that, but then it doesn't matter because we're right back to building for the next thing. So it, like this time it really felt like they had truly been building to this, and this was a big moment, and it wasn't just the next step for something else. It was, this is the culmination of something. So I think that was this
Match starts. I also want to give props to Cena for coming out. Like, this was definitely hostile territory for John Cena, and he treated it as such. Like, he didn't even like do the little goofy salute he usually does. Like, he knows that nobody here likes him, so he's just gonna come out, do the job. He's gonna try his best to like protect WWE from this CM Punk guy, and he definitely played his part very well throughout this match. So yeah, match starts. I wrote down here like the opening couple of minutes of the match is not entirely special.
No,
but the crowd is there, so it almost doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also like people always talk, like even today, of like, why did they never turn Cena heel? And like in this match, Cena was the heel. He was the guy who was doing rest holds all the time. He was doing headlocks and he was doing chin locks and he was doing all kinds of stuff. So he was, I feel in this match, he really was working as a heel. But it still seemed like Punk was the one who was calling the match, because it seemed like Cena really had his ear toward like Punk's mouth a lot, so that he could like listen to what was coming up and stuff. But it seemed like he was working as the villain in the match as I was watching it.
Yep.
Yeah, and like you said, like not much that happens in the match is like anything too crazy or too special, but it was all very crisp. And usually John Cena is kind of wonky. Like he's usually a little off and a little like not as not his wrestling isn't as clean as some others. But in this match, he's actually pretty good.
There's an abdominal stretch in this match that I pointed out here specifically.
Oh, yeah.
It's
pretty hilarious.
Incredibly bad.
Yeah,
well,
it's pretty hilarious.
Every abdominal stretch is bad, but like, yeah, this one's
we've already established this.
This one's especially bad. But Cena was not as sloppy as he usually is. And you got to remember, this match took place before Big Match John, so it's not a thing we're used to of seeing Cena like work these really big, well wrestled long matches.
Yeah, and like I would say that this is the first time that we were able to see Cena truly wrestle someone in a big match who wasn't a WWE person. Because like as I was watching this match, I was like, oh, John Cena always had it in him, the ability for Big Match John and stuff. He just never had people who could pull it out of him. Because like when you wrestle Randy Orton for the 1 millionth time, like you're just gonna have a Randy Orton match. Or if you wrestle anyone who came up through WWE, you're just gonna have a WWE match. So like watching this match, I was like, this is the match that we would see today, and we wouldn't think it was a big deal. But like at that point in time, it was one of those things where we're like, oh my gosh, John Cena has the ability to truly be a special wrestler, but we didn't realize that till like 5 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Or
I feel like before the CM Punk feud, like Edge was probably the one that stood out as like John Cena's biggest rival.
yeah, that's
But
true.
I also want to say like most of the matches with Edge is like a lot of I say this a lot of smoke and mirrors matches where it's like gimmicky matches where it's not truly about the wrestling.
Right.
And in this match, there is no gimmicks. Like this is a straight up wrestling match. Like at the end, they kind of do. I say it again. They do a little smoke and mirrors at the end with the Montreal Screwjob tease.
Mhm,
Yeah.
But other than that, like this is a very straightforward match. There's, they wrestle kind of almost like maybe it's because like the modern day WWE stuff is completely different, but like this kind of felt a little old schoolish with like how they approach this match. It just kind of had like a big match feel throughout.
Yeah,
and like
yeah, definitely.
there's a couple of big moments that happen throughout the match that you can easily point at. Obviously, like the biggest one that like sticks out in my head is the crazy bump CM Punk takes where he gets suplexed outside of the ring.
Oh yeah, like you never
straight
see
up.
that anymore.
Yeah, and he just splats on the ground. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
it
I
looks very
specifically
painful.
mentioned. I think it was in the Flair Sting match that like they teased that, and I specifically said, "Hey, they always tease that, but they never actually deliver." But this is like the rare time where they actually deliver on that spot where someone gets suplex on the outside, and that was definitely like the big spot of the match. And it's kind of like you just need one of those, you just need one of those to kind of like
Exactly.
put the match over the top a little bit. And they had one, and it wasn't too crazy, but it was something you see rarely enough to where it stands out.
Yeah, it's not like, and I'm gonna pick on Gargano and Ciampa. No, sorry, Gargano and Cole here with the NXT match where it's like just bam, 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 big move, big move, big move, big move, and like by the end of it, you're like, what happened? Like I can't even tell you anything that happened in this match. And like here, it's like a couple of things I wrote down that's like definitely stood out and just kind of like made this match feel bigger by doing less stuff, which I super appreciate.
Yeah, I just loved like how the match was set up just in general. I just thought it just built really well. Because like sometimes matches have like ups and downs where there's like a lot of stuff going on and there's nothing going on. And this match started small and just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And eventually they were kind of trading blows, but it wasn't like they were doing their signature moves all the time. It was like they're just punching each other as hard as they can. They're just suplexing each other just as much as they can, or they're trying to do something from the top rope, and just like super simple stuff, but it just had a big feel to it because they built to it in such a good way.
Yeah, it's almost like a New Japan match, kind of.
Yeah.
That way. Another moment I just wanted to point out towards the end of the match. First of all, nobody on commentary knows what an anaconda vice is, and it's infuriating.
Oh yeah.
And at the end of the match, there's a great segment with CM Punk goes for the go to sleep, and it gets countered into the STFU, and that gets rolled through and countered into an anaconda vice, and then Cena instead counters that by lifting him back up and doing an AA, and CM Punk kicks out of that. Just a awesome sequence of moves, really.
Yeah, and like that first AA that Cena did was awesome looking. Like because it was so fast, and normally like and normally like the AA is like he grabs him and then he does his little face stuff and then he does it. But this was he got him up, he did it, and I was like, man, that looks so smooth. Like once again,
and it definitely like sucked all the air out of the building because everybody thought the 3 was coming.
Yeah, and like when Cena started pumping up for his 3 moves of doom. I mean, not 3 moves of doom, 5 moves of doom. I'm sorry. Hogan had 3 moves of doom. When he was doing his 5 moves of doom and people were booing, I was like, man, Cena must be loving this. Like, he's getting such an amazing reaction from the crowd by just doing like the moves that people know lead to the end. And then like he tried to do 5 knuckle shuffle, but Punk just kicked him in the face. and the crowd lost it at that. They're like, "Ah!"
Yeah, it's just this crowd. They're doing the smallest stuff, but it gets over super big because like the characters in the ring mean so much to this crowd right now.
Yeah.
It's great. And let's see, anything else to really talk about before we get to the end of this?
I liked when the first time Punk hits Cena with a GTS, Cena falls out of the ring.
Oh yeah,
Like,
that was so good.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good way to make it so that, Punk had it won, potentially, but because he did the move at near the edge of the ring, Cena slipped out and he lost his chance at a pinfall. I just thought that you don't see stuff like that very often. I thought that was a cool thing to add to that spot. Good, yeah, just like Cena in this match, Cena was like kind of like experimenting with some different moves that he usually doesn't do. Like he kind of did like an Emerald Flosion almost. At one point, like he had Punk on his shoulders and kind of like, he didn't drive him down really like they would in Japan, but he just kind of like slammed him down. So little things like that really make the match stand out as more of a big deal because it's like pulling out all the stops. Like we're trying everything we can to pin the other guy.
Yeah.
That huge leg drop off the top rope.
Oh yeah. And that was
I see that and I'm like, oh my God, your hip, Cena. Don't do that.
Yeah. Well, like, and that was before, like, Cena used to do that all the time. So, like, seeing that and, like, realizing, oh, he doesn't really do that. Like, he eventually started doing it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, it was like, oh, man, that's something we've never seen Cena do. He did, like, a couple fisherman suplexes that looked really smooth. And I was like, man. Like, and, like, knowing where, like, Cena eventually gets to, like, as a wrestler and being like, we see where that came from, and that's this match.
This is where he starts playing around with like new moves and stuff like that, like around this time frame.
Yeah, so that GTS to the outside kind of leads to Punk rolling Cena back into the ring, and then Vince McMahon and John. I think this was the first on-screen appearance of Johnny Ace.
Johnny Ace, my boy, people power. Thumbs up.
Yeah.
I love Johnny Ace.
Looking good. He looked good right here.
Oh, hey guys, it's me, Johnny Ace. I just want to say that people power.
That's and he's married to one of the Bella's
He's
mothers.
Married to the Bella's mom.
I just said one of the Bella's mothers. Like they don't have the same fucking mother. Because he was on Total Bellas, right?
Yeah, he was in Total Divas and Total Bellas. He's wonderful.
Yeah,
just hearing his horse ass voice all the time.
Everything's worked out for him, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Him and Daniel Bryan's now on the same family tree line.
That's right, which is amazing.
Yeah, isn't that insane? And John Cena at one point, like
and John Cena too for a period of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so they come out. They tease the Montreal Screwjob. Vince calls for the bell as Cena like rolls him into his STF. And Cena, being the doofy hero that he is, he runs over Johnny Ace on his way to the bell, and like he stands up to Vince McMahon and says, "No, not that way." Or I have no clue what he says. He wasn't mic'd up especially well.
He says something like, "A man is gonna walk out a winner here."
Yeah. It was a very John Cena thing.
Like philosopher jock kind of thing to say.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, he turned around, he rolled back into the ring, immediately got go to sleep, and CM Punk won it, shocked the world.
Yep.
Michael Cole loses his shit announcing it, which is probably the best thing Cole ever has called maybe in his life. And
probably definitely up to that point in time.
Mm-hmm. And then after the match, this is Money in the Bank, so apparently Alberto Del Rio won earlier. Vince tried to call him out. It was like, oh, right, Alberto Del Rio was a big thing for a while.
Yeah.
And
then Punk kicks him in the face.
Yes, he kicked him in the face, and then he hopped the guardrail, and he was out of there. Probably, one of the best visuals was like him blowing a kiss to Vince McMahon which of course holds up to 2019 very well. And that was the end of the match. I guess.
Oh wait, there's there's one thing that we didn't talk about that we need to talk about. There was one point in the match, it was like probably in the middle of the match, where Cena was on the ropes on the camera side of the ring, and CM Punk just kneed him in the face, and it didn't look like he held back. It looked like he actually kneed Cena in the face, and they showed it in replay in slow-mo, and like it looked awesome.
Yeah. Just
the knee to the face. It was terrific.
Yeah. The best part about that was like he kneed him the first time. Apparently he didn't get him good enough. So he was like, hold on, stay there. I'll get you this time. And then he just whacked him.
Oh, yeah.
It was great. Props to Cena for taking that.
Cena's tough. He's taken a lot of lumps in the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got his nose broken by Seth Rollins that one time.
Yeah. And he finished the match.
So when we talk about ranking this match, is the post-match part of this feud a part of this ranking?
I'd consider the post-match, yeah. I mean,
this is best match ever, not best story ever.
Yeah, that's why I'm confused by.
Yeah.
Because like at the end of that bell ringing, I was on a pretty good high from that. So it's hard to like take that away.
Well, think about like the think about the empty arena match. I mean, what did you take into consideration when you ranked that? Just the match? No.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Everything around the match was taken into consideration for that. So if you want to be consistent, then you should consider the post match a little bit.
We cannot change the scientific method. We cannot change the scientific method.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. Okay.
That's
so
right.
we got to bring up the post match stuff, which is Punk. Yeah, CM Punk threatened to leave forever with the WWE title. He was gone for 2 weeks.
Yep. And then he showed up at a Mattel panel. I think it was at Comic-Con, if I remember right.
Like yelling at Triple H or something.
Yeah, he was yelling at Triple H. And then they had a fake WWE championship that Cena and Rey Mysterio fought over. But then Punk came back to Raw with... and this was when... I think Cult of Personality debuted as his theme.
Yes.
Was when he came back.
Yep.
And so he came back and was like, nah, I'm the champ. And then he did beat Cena at SummerSlam. So, like, he finished that part of the story, but then Kevin Nash showed up.
Nash showed up, and then Alberto Del Rio took the title off of CM Punk.
Yeah.
And then we followed that up with CM Punk versus Triple H, where Triple H won, and that led to nothing. That led to a ladder match with Triple H and Kevin Nash.
In 2011.
It just kind of got jumbled up from there. I don't even remember who did CM Punk face at WrestleMania.
Was that the Taker WrestleMania?
I think that was the Undertaker WrestleMania.
Really?
Because after this, he had like...
Or did he fight Daniel Bryan?
No, he never fought Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania.
He only had 12 and 13 because he left in 14, right? Yeah, because he left before the Royal Rumble. He left after the Royal Rumble in 14 because that was when the network debuted. Because he left before WrestleMania 30.
Yeah, you're right.
Keep talking amongst yourselves.
But I'm trying to think of the timeline because the things I remember from CM Punk after that were he had a Brock Lesnar match. And then,
Chris Jericho.
And he turned... Oh, that's right, Jericho. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, okay. Yep. So CM Punk turned face. Chris Jericho
forced him to drink with
alcohol.
The drinking stuff, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was not good.
Yeah.
It was okay, but obviously...
I consider it a rare miss from Jericho over the past 10 years.
Yeah, which that was actually an angle that CM Punk and Raven did back in Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the first
a while
thing
before.
That, like, as I was reading up on Punk to refresh my memory of him, like him and Raven, that was the first thing that Punk did in ROH was the thing with Raven.
Yeah,
that feud kind of put him on the map in a way, like that, and him working with
totally
with Foley a little bit in Ring of Honor. I think kind of like...
and his matches with Chris Hero and Samoa
Samoa
Joe,
Joe, yeah.
Yeah.
and Bryan Danielson.
Oh, and that should be mentioned real quick that he did the same angle in Ring of Honor when he signed his WWE contract.
Yes.
That he was going to leave with the Ring of Honor title. So
Right.
he kind of did the same angle
and that
twice.
was when Foley got involved.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool that he got to do that like with the WWE
Twice.
title as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
So you're saying he's going to be in AEW, and then in a couple of years he's going to get pissy, and then he'll leave with the AEW championship.
And he'll go to WWE. And he'll go to
Yeah,
WWE.
he'll go back to
He
WWE.
should threaten to go back to WWE with the AEW title. That would be awesome.
Yeah. And then he should actually do it. And then he should throw the title in the trash, and then we get a new Monday Night War.
Perfect.
Except AEW is probably going to be on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Right.
Based on Turner's schedule.
It'll be the Wednesday night war. It'll be AEW versus NXT.
Versus NXT. And NXT will
WWE
win.
main event.
And NXT will win.
All right. I feel good about ranking this match somewhere now.
Yeah.
We've gone over the entire thing. So
All right. I have
this is definitely...
Yeah, I have the rankings up. So
Yeah, I'm looking at them.
I will start at number 10.
Okay.
And then tell me where to stop. And then we
All right,
can
let's
keep
keep bumping it up.
Yeah. All right. So number 10 is Mike Awesome versus Masato Tanaka. I would say it's better than that match.
Yeah, I'd put it
Yeah,
up
it's
above
better
that.
than that match.
Then
Number 9, we've got Sarah Del Rey and Kana.
better.
It's better than
Yeah.
that match.
Then we have Flair and Sting. It's better than that.
I'd put it above
It's
that.
better than match.
We have Booker and Necro Butcher versus Samoa
Where'd you get
Joe.
Booker from?
I don't know. I was looking at Butcher,
Butcher and
and
Necro.
I somehow
okay.
got Booker from that. So we have Necro Butcher and Samoa Joe. It's better than that.
I'd say so, yeah.
Number 6, we've got we might have slightly overrated here. Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch at number 6.
It's better than that.
It's
Yeah, I'd say
definitely
it's
better
better.
than that. Number 5, Suzuki versus Mecha Mummy.
I would put it above that.
I'd put it above, yeah.
Okay, here we go. We're moving up top 5. Number 4, Jerry the King Lawler versus Terry Funk in an empty arena match. This match is better than that match.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
And even the strengths of that are Terry Funk, and that's comparable to CM Punk here.
Yeah, in terms of just personality and ability of talking and able to sell what's going on.
Yeah, and crowd manipulation.
Yeah, the crowd in this match was a lot better than the crowd in the empty arena match.
That's true. We have to ding them. They didn't have a crowd for that match.
It was only Lance Russell.
That's
And
right.
the
Lance
cameraman.
Russell, that cameraman, and that random dude who was walking in the background. From
Yeah,
time to
terrible
time.
crowd.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Didn't even do one chant.
that's right.
Asushi Onita versus Hayabusa.
The old standby.
Yep.
Ah, man. This is...
I would say this match is better.
Yeah, I would too. It doesn't have the pageantry, but it's or the kind of.
It doesn't have ref murder.
Yeah, they're not murdering any refs in this match.
Nobody died.
And I like it, it's a good contrast because this is like pure wrestling. There's not much they didn't even do the typical WWE main event announce table spot.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is very
No,
clean.
They didn't.
I like that a lot. I'd put it above.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Number 2, Atlantis versus La Sombra, Mask v Mask.
So
This is
big deal, big match, pretty
Yeah.
big deal in Mexico. But
Yeah.
I'm not as in tune with Mexican wrestling as I am American wrestling. So for me, this match is a bigger deal.
They're both pretty comparable to each other. Like, I would probably say the overall wrestling, American wrestling, lucha wrestling, whatever. I would say the wrestling in the match is better in Atlantis and La Sombra. Both of them are very good at kind of being emotional a little bit.
It is way more emotional.
I'd be fine with this going over that match.
Yeah. And I'd say that for the Cena Punk match, there's more. I feel there's more buy-in to the concept of, oh my gosh, what it's gonna happen if the title leaves? What happens if Punk wins? Versus, well, if he loses his mask, people find out his name. And like, yeah, it's a super duper 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 big deal when stuff like that happens. But if someone loses their mask, they can keep wrestling. Like, it's not like their title is being taken from them. Well, I guess.
Well, you're bearing the concept of a mask versus mask match.
Yeah.
So that's a little. I don't know if I'm completely on board with that. But,
yeah, but and also.
Yeah, it's kind of like an identity in Mexico. I think it's hard for us to understand it because we're not
it is.
lifelong Mexican wrestling fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say the wrestling in that match is better, but I would say the overall storyline building up to this match was well done. I will say the storyline of that match was kind of strung together last minute. Like,
that's true. It was kind of rushed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
rushed.
It was kind of rushed.
It was rushed.
Yeah.
Dang it! I was gonna make that joke.
I beat you to it.
I'd be fine with this match going over Atlantis and La Sombra.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I would too.
Okay. Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness. Like, both of these matches are some of my favorite matches of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness is...
It's even more pure wrestling is what it is.
Yeah, and like it's perfectly executed. Like just like this match, like there's a couple of spots that really stand out in this match, and it's not like too overwhelming to watch. Obviously, two different sizes of crowds, but both of them are very passionate.
Yeah.
I would say the Chicago crowd is probably got the edge on being a little bit, or definitely louder, because
yeah,
I mean Bryan Danielson got booed, but he didn't get John Cena booed.
No, and both of these matches are. Isn't the Danielson Nigel match taking place in Nigel's hometown or like near it? Or
it's in Liverpool.
Pretty sure it's in Liverpool. Yeah.
Or am I just misremembering something?
No, he's definitely regarded as the hometown.
Yeah.
Wrestler,
so like these are both hometown matches, but only one of them does the hometown hero win. And like we already mentioned, it was really cool to see the hometown hero win.
Yeah. I'd say everything surrounding the Punk and Cena match was stronger. The actual match was, I think, Danielson and McGuinness was better.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, does the storyline and all the emotions surrounding the Punk Cena match override the fact that Danielson versus McGuinness is a better in-ring match?
Mm-hmm.
And I can go either way at this point, really.
Yeah.
Like that head ramming spot is certainly memorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing to compare it to. Like that was I think the most brutal spot in that match versus the Cena and Punk match. It's that suplex to the outside.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess that comes down to preference. Like I do like a hard hitting match, even though that was a little excessive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just him ramming Nigel's head into the ring post, followed by just Nigel having like the biggest babyface fire that you can ever imagine after that.
Yeah.
And then followed by Daniel Bryan kind of being able to come out on top with the elbows that led to a TKO. It's just, I think I like that match better than CM Punk and John Cena personally.
That reminds me of the one thing I did really like from the Punk Cena match that I forgot to mention was Punk's suicide dive, where they use it in like videos and stuff, but the look he gives the camera when he does that is like so good.
Yeah, you're right.
That's one of the better suicide dives that I remember from past 10 years or whatever, because now they're kind of done just as a kind of throwaway spot.
Yeah.
But that one
It's
felt
now
like
just
special.
a thing everyone does.
Yeah, everybody kind of does the shaky feet, and they start looking at the ropes. And
shaky
it's
feet.
like whatever. Yeah.
And it's always done at the beginning of the match. It's like, just get out of the way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But this was like in the middle, and it was placed very well. And it got the audience really hot. So I like that one. Man, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I like them both too. Let's make them both number one.
No, we can't have
Well,
that.
Well, it's the brand split, right? So we've got the world champion, and we've got
See, it's the wild card number one spot.
yeah, wild card.
And where any match can be. Oh no, we don't want to go down that.
Tori
road.
Wilson and Candice Michelle this week.
We can, it's where any random 3 matches can invade the podcast and force us to review them.
That's right. Or like force us to re-review them.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe Chamber of Horrors is secretly the number 1 match. We can, it's an
No.
opportunity to re-rank some of these old matches.
Nope. Science cannot be relitigated.
Science
is
set in
final.
stone, yes.
Okay. And this is like barely, I would put Cena Punk above Danielson McGuinness.
Okay.
Okay, so you're saying Cena Punk, Derek's saying Danielson McGuinness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's down to you.
Oh,
That's how democracy works.
Yep.
Oh man, because I really was hoping you guys just both be like, yeah, this makes sense. Because I don't know, I like them both a lot. Danielson McGuinness. All right, let's think about Danielson McGuinness. Like, it moved quicker. It was like a really good, quick pace to the match. The finish was awesome because it was the ref stoppage finish, and it kind of came out of nowhere. So is this finish?
I mean, you got Danielson and McGuinness here, so early parts of the match was crisper.
Oh,
than
yeah.
CM Punk and Cena here.
Yeah, overall crisper, like harder striking. But like I said, Punk and Cena were smoother than Cena usually is. And it was like a smart and intelligent match.
Yeah,
pace
I'm not going to take.
well put.
I'm not going to take away anything from this match. I love both these matches about equally.
Man. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna go with Punk and Cena because everything wrapped together. I think if you consider the fact that this match and this storyline got so many people interested in wrestling again, the match itself was very good. The storyline was great. It was one of the rare moments that you have in modern day WWE where everything was thought out really well. It was put over as a really big deal, and I think it elevated everyone involved with it. And the finish, I think, ultimately was better. Even though I like the finish in Danielson McGuinness, I think the finish was better here because in Danielson McGuinness, the crowd was kind of not expecting it, and it was a little flat. But here, it was like, a huge pop because CM Punk ended up winning.
Yeah.
So all things considered, I'm going to go with Cena and Punk as the new number 1 on our list.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
As long as
All right.
everyone is in agreement and there aren't any other arguments.
No. I'm not going to put up too much of a fight. This match is awesome. Like I said, this feud brought me back into wrestling, and like everything about the match like lived up to the feud, which is saying a lot. So yeah, I'm perfectly fine with this. I will point out now that we are including the post-match stuff that there might come a time that I use that to take down this match and put up another match. But it's hard to come up with that many matches that will be able to do that because this match is so great. So
Yeah.
All right, that's our new number 1.
We have the new best match ever right there.
New best top 22 matches. We've got CM Punk and John Cena as number 1. Bryan Danielson, Nigel McGuinness, number 2. Atlantis versus La Sombra, number 3. And recapping our worst here, we've got number 20, Toriano and Azuka versus the Gracie Brothers, Harlem Heat and the Nasty Boys, number 21, and number 22, Tori Wilson, Candice Michelle, the first and last Wet and Wild match.
I'm just now remembering how much we argued over which one of those was worse.
Oh, yeah. That was, oof.
Yeah.
Our Hall of Fame spectacular.
Yep. Speaking of a spectacular, I don't know where I'm going with that, but I guess in a couple of weeks we're gonna meet back up and talk some AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view outcomes, and we'll see. Are we saying that Chris Jericho and Omega is the match to be ranked, or should we just play it by ear?
I'm leaning towards that, but let's see. Let's actually watch the match and make an official decision after.
Yeah.
Just in case something kind of
this
like
comes
out of
Casino
nowhere.
Royale.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
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 Or like maybe the Young Bucks and Phoenix and Pentagon just blows us out of the water.
Yeah.
Or something else.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, really. So, Pac and Hangman Page.
Yeah.
That should be awesome, too.
That could be good. I mean, like Cody and Goldust.
Cody and Dustin.
Yeah, and Dustin, I guess. Yeah. That, you never know. They could totally, they've worked together so much before, and they have such a good build-up now that they can really deliver. And if they could really deliver in the ring, that's going to be really something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's probably the best built match to this pay-per-view, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, looking forward to that. So, thank you guys for joining me for another episode. And this has been the best match ever.